I've been looking for the perfect 2-lens setup for a while, and I think might be this, and also this one. In today's video, we're gonna go over some of our favorite pieces of gear from the last year, many of which I'm sure you're well aware of, but some others I think are criminally underrated. First up is an item that not only do I not expect to make a lot of people's favorite gear of the year lists, but I've seen almost no YouTube videos about it at all. This is the CameTV Power Dolly system. It is a product that I had very low expectations for, but our Dolly needed an upgrade, and CameTV offered to send us this one. Is it perfect? Not even close. Do I find myself reaching for it surprisingly frequently? Yes. Did it help me create most of my favorite shots of the past year?
If you love me, let me go, go, go with the moon. And the sun comes up, then I love you too. I do. Come on, get me in a mood.
Also, yes. At its core, this is functionally a pretty standard dolly system. So we can pull out the base here, and it'll unfold in order to create a nice sturdy platform. It has mounts for like any just generic tripod, but then also I have my Sackler locked right into these rubber things. And you can use this platform on your existing track if you have them, but if not, then they sell you a bunch of their own track. The track that they create come in both a straight and a curved variety, and they attach magnetically. However, I find the magnet grip is really not that strong. And so what that means is if you set up a whole track and then realize, oh shoot, it needs to move 2 feet over to the left, you kind of have to rebuild it, because as you start trying to slide the track, those magnets are gonna come undone and it's gonna pop apart. And so it can be a little bit finicky in that regard. However, what makes the Power Dolly so special is the power part of that dolly. So you can replace one of these wheels with this here. This is a motorized wheel that will swap out this adjustable one here, and then that enables you to use a remote such as this one and pull off shots like this. Now, the best part about this is a shot that you can pull off all by yourself. It doesn't require a crew to set this up and pull it off. You can just lay out the track, set your in point, your out point, adjust the speed, and suddenly you've got automated movement. I should say that there are other limitations with the Power Dolly as well. Sometimes the connection for me has been a little bit finicky, but in general I find the speed is a little bit lackluster. This has the newest firmware update that takes the speed from 0 to 10 up to 20 now, but this is the absolute max speed it's going to move, which for most shots, probably fine, but sometimes you're likely gonna be looking for something a little bit more, I don't know, flexible, dramatic, cool. I don't know.
This has been the CameTV product review for this dolly. Bye.
If you love me, let me go, go, go with the moon. And the
This is a camera that was not launched in the last year, but actually came out in August 2012. This is the original Canon C100 with the almost flip out screen and the full HD 24p at whopping 24 megabits per second, which in today's market doesn't sound like an exciting spec sheet, but just imagine back in 2012, it also didn't sound like an exciting spec sheet. And yet somehow the image out of this camera is still fantastic. I've been using it as a B camera and even sometimes as an A camera for a lot of sit-down talking head shots like this. The only real workflow change that's happened to me with this camera in the last year is I've started using Topaz AI in order to up-res it to 4K and denoise it sometimes. Also, my good friend Doug switched his Panasonic full-frame mirrorless setup over to a Canon C100, and people compliment the image quality in his videos all the time, and he'll just send me screenshots of those comments being like laughing in 1080p or whatever, because quality 1080p will always look better than not quality 4K. So check out Marketplace, Kijiji, Craigslist, eBay, whatever. It's a great camera.
Up next is a camera that was released in the last year, but almost certainly needs no introduction. It's the iPhone 15 Pro, and with its 10-bit 422 ProRes internal codec, the image quality is so good that I'm gonna use it for the sponsor of today's video, which is Artlist. Whether you are a filmmaker or a content creator or a freelance video editor, Artlist is here to help take those videos to the next level. They have this enormous library of songs and sound effects that not only sound amazing, but they are adding to it every single day. So whether you need a song that sounds like this, or a song that sounds like this,
I heard man when I chat and chit. I come through like what's good, these weeks hits.
or maybe a song that sounds like this. They have an enormous variety of high-quality music to suit your needs. I have been paying for my own personal Artlist subscription for almost 7 years now, and it has been an invaluable tool for my videos, both personal, professional, YouTube, client, and it has truly saved me thousands and thousands of dollars over the years. So I wouldn't be telling you about this if it wasn't something I used and genuinely loved. If you want to learn more, click the link down in the description below this video. They have a bunch of different subscription options that are going to suit different types of creators that are making different types of videos. So click that link if you want your videos to be better. If not, you know, why are you even on my channel? Scram! Okay, what do you want to talk about next?
Up next is the DJI wireless audio kit. It's the one with the 2 transmitters and 1 receiver. This is a product segment that exploded over the last few years. And so there are 20 to 50 different brands making something like this. I haven't tried many of them, so I bought the DJI kit, and it has made audio so much easier over the last year. In fact, when I bought it, it was so good that I think everyone at the studio bought a set, and yet I sold mine. These are Dave's. So what happened? Unfortunately, the DJI option has some interference issues, specifically with the FX3 and I think A7S III, and then get its way through into a good composition of myself or the lights on that shelving unit. So what we're gonna do, regardless of what cable I use to plug it into the camera, I was getting a lot of like feedbacky interference stuff. So if I want to use these, I actually have to plug it into the top handle of the FX3 rather than the body itself, and that solves it. Another issue actually is that the capsules themselves don't have locking connectors for the lav mics, and a lot of the lav mics I own use locking connectors. So I ended up selling my kit to switch over to the Rode wireless kit that has the 32-bit float, as well as locking lavalier connectors, and it includes lavs in the kit that are like just made to work well with these. I've had issues with some lav mics not working properly or not even getting sound at all with this, so I like that the Rode option kind of has that ironed out for me. But regardless, I think these are a must-have in pretty much any filmmaker, videographer, content creator's kit. The Insta360 Go3 is not just my favorite camera of the last year, but it's my favorite action camera ever. While its image quality doesn't stack up to something like the Ace Pro or a Hero 12, it doesn't even look as good as my iPhone at this point. That's not why I reach for this camera. I reach for this camera because of how unique and easy to use it is. It has the action pod as well as the, camera itself, and they can detach but remain connected wirelessly. So that means you can put this tiny camera in really unique places and still monitor your shot without having to go through the whole connect to your phone or iPad process. I hate that. While I would love to see an upgrade to the image quality from a camera like this in the future, for now, it's still the only action camera I've ever owned that I actually reach for frequently, regardless of the kind of project I'm shooting. I made a full video about it when it first came out, which you can see in this top corner here. It is a sponsored video, so take that for what it's worth, but I stand by everything I said about the camera in that video. I do have links down in the description for these products because I need to start caring about affiliate links so that I can keep feeding my children. Okay, everything's good. Rolling. Okay, finally, let's talk about that two-lens kit. These two lenses have dual-handedly filmed 90+% of every single thing I shot over the last 15 months. And this is the Tamron 20 to 40 millimeter f2.8 and the Tamron 35 to 150 f2 to 2.8. These two lenses are super cool, very unique in the market. One of these lenses absolutely has a place in my kit for the foreseeable future, and the other one I'm less certain about. Let's start out by talking about the 35 to 150 millimeter lens. This is a beast of a lens. It's pretty big, pretty heavy, has really nice build quality, but probably the most unique focal length to f-stop ratio of any lens, except maybe the Samyang. We don't need to talk about that. The first time I ever used this lens was about a year ago. I was in Hawaii with Mark Bone and Levi Allen, and we were setting up a multi-angle podcast shot outside. I had my 24 to 105 f4 on my FX3, and Levi had this, the 35 to 150.
Wow.
And I just remember setting up the angle and zooming in all the way to that 150 at 2.8 and thinking like,
Yeah, I'm gonna get this lens.
the fact that you have like a 35 f2 prime and like a 50 2.5 and the rest at 2.8 or whatever means you can get so many unique angles that feel really premium and high end. This lens has made it so I have no desire to own a 70 to 200 2.8 again. Plus, you have the benefit of zooming out way further than 70 millimeters. When I first got this lens, Josh here at the studio was playing with it, and he shoots a lot of sports, like NHL stuff, and he was like, oh, I need this lens, because having something that you can take from that like telephoto, mid-long telephoto range, and you can pull all the way out. So if you've suddenly got like a body check happening up right against the glass, you can actually see it in a way that a 70 to 200 just never could. Besides the size and weight, which is rather large, there's only one real drawback to this lens that I've found, and it's one that the 20 to 40 millimeter shares as well. And that is that with third-party lenses like this, the IBIS on the FX3 just doesn't work as well. If you were to compare like a native Sony lens to this, the IBIS is not as steady. Unlike the 35 to 150, this lens feels like it's in a lower tier, like a lower quality bracket maybe than the 35 to 150 here, in that it's lighter, and it feels a little plasticier. The autofocus isn't quite as good, in that I find if you zoom from 20 to 40, it'll often kind of pulse, like you'll lose your focus. That actually has probably ruined some of my shots, but now I just know not to do a lot of crash zooming when I'm using this lens. The other thing as far as image quality is concerned is at 20 millimeters, it's not the most rectilinear lens I've ever used. It definitely gets some of that bowing, I don't know, pincushion, whatever kind of distortion it is. It feels a little bit curved on the wide angle. Now, I had mentioned one of these lenses is for sure going to be living in my bag for the foreseeable future, and the other of which is this one, I feel less certain about. And the only real reason for that is I had the chance to take the Sony 20 to 70 millimeter f4 to Estonia this summer. It was the only lens I brought, and I really loved the versatility of it. It is bigger, it is more expensive, it is slower, but when it comes to zooms, versatility, I find, is a big deal. A lot of people might find that that 20 millimeters isn't quite as wide as what they're looking for, especially if you're used to maybe a 16 to 35 f2.8. From my experience, this has not been an issue. And the reason for that is twofold. One, I own the Sony 14mm f1.8, and I love that lens. But the real reason is that the added focal length to 40 millimeters just makes it feel much more versatile. I've used the Tamron 17 to 28 that Josh has owned for a long time quite a bit, and the difference from 28 to 40 is pretty substantial. So that's where we're at. I'm definitely going to be keeping this in my kit, and I'm not entirely sure about this one. So they are impressive lenses. They are worth buying. Are they worth it to you? I don't know. Thank you guys for watching. I like gear. I don't think it's the most necessary thing. I don't think you need to obsess over it, but having stuff that works for the kind of videos you want to make is fantastic. Thank you for watching. I love you very much. Goodbye. See you soon.